Hello and welcome to the live stream. Today we are talking about the AVerMedia Live Streamer Nexus, which is a really interesting device, and it's something that I've only just been playing around with for a little bit, and it's part of a big package of things actually that AVerMedia themselves sent to me for review, and that all came about because I was asking about one particular product of theirs, which is the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic. And if I just pop over here, the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic boom, I should say. And this is a really interesting mic boom that I'll be talking about a little bit later. But since I was inquiring about that, they very kindly sent me a load of other goodies as well, and one of those was this AVerMedia Live Streamer Nexus, which basically combines some of the functionality of the Rodecaster Pro with the functionality of Stream Deck and Loupe Deck. So it's at a different price point to both of these, so it does have a very clear sort of defined point in the market. So I thought today we'd just go through, have a look at some of the functionality, the pros and cons of it, and maybe get an idea of who it is supposed to be for. So that is the plan. So let's just have a little look. First of all, I just need to check that is this actually streaming, because I am doing something probably a little bit foolish. I am testing out some alpha software today. So let me just see if this is even going out onto the stream. I can see that I've got some comments from before. I just want to just double check. Oh, there we go. Yes, I can certainly see. Ethan, great to see you here. Glad to see this is happening. I wanted to see someone else use it now. It has more updated software than before I purchased the Nexus, and it's working. Oh, great. So I'm glad to see there are some people. Hello, Shane. Hello, Pierre. Great to see you. And hello, Justin, as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I am actually streaming to Facebook, of course. Justin's on Facebook. Great to see you here, Justin. And I normally stream only to YouTube, but as I say, I'm just testing out this other feature today. Okay, good. I'm glad that is all working. So let's have a little look at the device, should we? That perhaps might be a good idea. So this is the Live Streamer Nexus audio mixer and control center. You can see there the dials on the front. It's got some push buttons as well, and you've got a number of inputs and outputs on the back as well. Now, it's not a direct competitor to the Rodecaster. If you think about what the Rodecaster is, then the Rodecaster Pro 2 was obviously an evolution of the Rodecaster, which started out as a podcasting device. Then they realized that people were also using it for live streaming and for music and things like that. So the Rodecaster Pro 2 added some extra functionality, but it was all about having multiple different inputs, and then some of the audio routing that you can do with that, and the smart pads and things like that. So I've obviously been talking about that audio routing side of things a lot on the channel recently, but the AVerMedia Live Streamer Nexus, as you might gather, given that it's got live streamer in the name, is very much dedicated to live streamers. And in fact, if we have a look at some of the controls on it, you can see that it's sort of predefined as to what these are, where you've got input controls for mic, line in, console, system, game, and chat. So it's very much sort of orientated towards people who are live streaming, and specifically more the sort of gamer live streamer market as well. So it has got a very clear sort of spot and a market that they are aiming for. In terms of the outputs, the inputs and outputs rather, it's not quite like the Rodecaster in that that's obviously, as I say, designed for podcasting and lots of different inputs that you've got coming in and out. Whereas because this is very much just geared to this one specific use case, on the back you do have things like line in and line out, a single microphone going in, and then you've got access for your computer to plug in over USB as well. But interestingly, whilst on the Rodecaster Pro 2 we have got those dual USB cables, and then one of them has two separate channels on it. This just has a single USB cable, but this also has 3 channels on it. So we do have some capability for audio routing, much like we've got on the Rodecaster. Slightly different setup with it, and as I say, it is geared towards a specific use case, but nonetheless, it is quite interesting that it's all in this single package. You'll know that I'm a big fan of Stream Deck, and not a fan of Loupe Deck hardware, but not a fan of the Loupe Deck software. So I was interested to see what this is going to be like, because it does also combine some of the functionality of the Stream Deck and Loupe Deck in terms of having these programmable buttons. It's got a touch screen on it, and you can do a number of other things actually with this that are quite interesting. That when you've got a full screen to use, like you've got on the Loupe Deck, for example, rather than individual buttons, it does give you a bit more flexibility. And whilst the Loupe Deck has pretty much isolated each individual area of the screen as a single button. What they've done with the Nexus is actually open it up so that you can use the screen for other things. So, for example, there are large information panels. So if I just pop over to this here, this is basically the interface. And you can see that we've got this big area in the middle here, which is the screen. But this is just sort of one big block that we've got on here that includes levels and things like that, whilst these are individual buttons. If I just scroll across to another screen, here you can see I've got the number of people watching on YouTube. If I just refresh this one, this is a chat that you can have in there, which doesn't actually seem to be working just at the moment, but it might be something to do with the way that I'm streaming this, who knows. But you can add other things on like CPU usage and so on. So just come in and having a quick look before I get too far ahead at the actual device itself though. It's got the screen here, but then it has got some physical buttons. So these don't have any icons or anything like that on them. They are just large buttons. But anything that you can add to the screen area, you can also add to the buttons as well. And then you've also got these dials down here. In terms of the form factor, it's got a sort of magnetic stand that can just pop on the back like that, if I get it into shot, to sort of raise it up a little bit so it is more sort of angled towards you. There are the inputs and outputs, if you can just see those. It's probably easier on that little B-roll clip that I showed. Let me come to this one. So as I say, you've got the, let me just scrub this back a little bit. The wonders of technology. So there you've basically got the line in and out over on the left-hand side, or rather two line outs. It's one's going to headphones and one is a line out. Now at the moment I've got one going to my monitors, but then I've got another line out that's actually going into the Rodecaster Pro 2, so that I can route stuff through there as well for the benefit of those in the Discord back channel as well. But then it's got a single connector for a microphone, and just like we've got on the Rodecaster Pro 2, that is one of those Neutrik combo jacks, so you can either use an XLR cable or a regular sort of jack going into that connector there. You've also got a line in, so you can bring audio in from some other source. There's an optical out there as well for the console. And then just coming back a little bit, you've got the USB and the power cable there as well. And then a nice physical on-off button there as well. So that is it in terms of the connectors. So as I say, it is just really designed for a kind of a lone live streamer without anybody else in the room with them necessarily. But then you do have, as I say, these different channels that you can connect to as well. So let's just have a little look at the software. In fact, let me just pop down here just 1 second, just to say a couple of other hellos. I've just noticed some other people popped in. Hello, Michael, Business Growth Ready. Always great to see you here. And David Hunt, thank you very much for stopping by as well. And Pierre, I didn't mean to add any extra complexity to all of this stuff about audio routing. We've been having quite a good chat about that. And thank you for turning me on to some other audio things that I need to look into. So we've been talking about using the Rodecaster Pro 2 with Zoom, and Pierre had a few issues there with audio, and then we've gone down a rabbit hole with that. And incidentally, if you want to join that conversation, then head over to the Take One Tech community, takeonetech.io/family. We're doing all of that over in the Discord server. So as well as obviously the live streams, then all of the stuff we talk about here on the channel, we're talking about in there as well. So let's have a little look at the software though. I know when the software first came out, and I've watched a few of the other reviews, there were a few niggles with it, and from a design point of view, I know that some people had some opinions about it as well. However, since then, they have actually made a few updates to it, and certainly the general look and feel of it is improved. So it's good to see that there is a sort of pretty rapid update cycle with it, certainly because some of the videos that I watched weren't that old actually, but they have made some changes based on those. So you do have widgets and things like that, which are effectively the same as plugins. So here you can see we've got this widget section over on this side, and then you've got a section to control the audio mixer, because as I say, it is pretty much two devices in one. One is the kind of Stream Deck-like device, if you want, and then the other is the audio mixer part. So if you come over to Hotkeys and Widgets, this is basically, if you think about this, like the Stream Deck plugins. We've got various different things. So Creator Central, that is the name of the application that controls the AVerMedia Live Streamer Nexus. And if I just swipe over to a completely blank page, you can see here, hopefully, that we've basically got a grid of 4 keys deep and 5 wide, so 20 on each screen. And we've got 5 screens. So we are limited to a certain extent. You can create different profiles for the entire device, but it's not quite the same in terms of the Loupe Deck or the Stream Deck, where you can just create, it's sort of not quite infinite, but lots of different sort of profiles for the actions. So you are a little bit more limited on that, but obviously 5 pages of 20 is basically 100 different actions you've got, and then you've also got the actions on these buttons. So just going down here in the Creator Central, so as I say, that is the name of the actual device itself. So these are things related to controlling the device. So you can do things like have a mute switch for your monitor, changing the mix. I'll come on to that in a moment, because you can adjust the levels for what you're hearing, and then also what is going out over the stream as well. Then things like soundboard, so playing sound effects and so on. Then switching profiles. So as I say, we've got different profiles that you can switch to for the mixer. And then we've also got different pages, so you can have a shortcut to jump to a different page. And then there's volume controls as well there, and that is volume for your system. And then you've got some mic effects, so we can do things like add echo and reverb and so on. So we can add all of that in there. But this is just an example here. So we've got mixer dashboard. This is an example of basically the way, rather than just using these as individual buttons, you can actually just drag one of these widgets over here, and you can see how much of the screen it's taking up. But if I drop that on, then basically it's just given us a whole view of the input levels and the gain and so on all of these different channels here. I'm just going to take that out for the time being. So what I'm going to do now is actually, before I go further into looking at some of these other widgets, I will actually just attempt to switch over my audio, because I'm still talking over the MV7 through the Rodecaster. But let me just actually come and try with the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic plugged into the Nexus, because that is obviously a device that is kind of built for it, and so I just want to be using that one as I go through. Let me just come and check down here. Hey, Aubrey, great to see you here. And hello, Mr. Rich, great to see you as always as well. Let me just swap these ones out. So hopefully, if I just switch over now in Ecamm, I'm going to switch over to the live streamer. So what I want is this one. So hopefully you can hear me now, and this is basically on the Live Streamer Nexus. But what I need to do is also swap this over for the people in Discord. It's not that one. How about that? So you should be able to hear me in Discord. Just let me know if you can't. Hang on. There we go. So I'm now I'm talking to you through the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic. It's going into the Nexus, and then that's what's going directly out onto the stream. But for the benefit of the people in Discord, I'm actually then routing that back through the Rodecaster so that the people in Discord can hear it as well. But I think that seems to be working. I think everyone can hear me. Okay, so let's go through and have a look at some more of the features that we've got in terms of the widgets. So in System, this is very similar to the sorts of things that we've got on the Stream Deck and Loupe Deck. So we've got shortcuts for things like a website, so you can just drag and drop these on here, and then you can set the URL to go to a particular website. You can change the title of it and so on. You can change icons as well, just as you can with both other devices. Then you've got one here to open either an app or a file, so the same sorts of things. Hotkey, so if you want to just press a shortcut key. Text, so a text snippet. We've got multimedia here as well. So you can do things like play, pause, multimedia on your computer. And this one is a really interesting one. We've got window control. That's something that we don't have built in on the Stream Deck or the Loupe Deck, but is a great idea. It's something that I do with either Moom or with Keyboard Maestro. And what this allows you to do is you can select any window, and then you can change its either size or position on the screen. Now, what this means is you can sort of get your things arranged as you want them. And here you can see we've got the option to change the window. So if I come to window, it's got all of the different windows that I've got open on the screen. And if I was to select one of these windows, it would tell me its current size and position. I could move it where I wanted it to go, reset the refresh the size and position, and that basically saves that window position then. And so what that means is when I then go and press that button, it moves the window back to that size and that position. Or I could come in here and sort of manually adjust that as well. Where that becomes quite interesting though is you do also have multi-actions. So with a multi-action, what we can do is open up the multi-action and edit it from down here. And just like multi-actions in Stream Deck or Loupe Deck, well, actually, not in Loupe Deck. It's a bit more tricky in Loupe Deck. But just like in Stream Deck, you can easily just sort of drag and drop different actions on. So, for example, you might want to have it that you open a series of apps. So if I just had like open app, maybe you'd got 3 different apps that you wanted to open. Like that. And then maybe you wanted to make sure the windows were in the correct position. So you could then add on the window position. And so let's just say that you'd opened, you know, whatever particular apps it was, maybe Safari or something like that, or some other application as well. Then you just position them where you want them and sort of set this window position for each one. And then what that means is you've got one button that you press to open the apps, but then actually also reposition the windows where you want to put them. Now, for me, the way that I do that in Stream Deck is I have a macro that runs in Keyboard Maestro well, it would open the apps, but then in Keyboard Maestro, it would sort out the positions of them, trigger a moom command, I should say, to get the positions of them straight. So I'm kind of using 3 different apps to actually do something here that is built in. So I do like that feature, and yeah, window control I think is something I'd love to see on Stream Deck and Loupe Deck as well. Next, we've got some controls for Cam Engine. Now, Cam Engine is their software used to control the AVerMedia cameras. And to be honest with you, just to take a little step back, I hadn't actually really heard of AVerMedia so much, or at least they weren't on my radar until I saw the live streamer boom arm. And I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But it's basically I was going to say it's a bit of a competitor to the Elgato Wave LP. It isn't really. It's a competitor to every mic boom arm because it's not just a low profile arm. It can be a top down arm or a regular boom arm, and it's really quite versatile. So we'll have a little look at that in a while as well. But it was just seeing that particular product that sort of put them on my radar. And then I realized that actually AVerMedia are pretty big in the sort of live streaming world. It's just more in the sort of gaming side of things that I just haven't been in that world really. But then also they do a lot of stuff for business as well with you know, a lot of business-based webcams and devices and things like that. Wireless mics for teaching, PTZ cameras, so pan, tilt, zoom cameras, and all that kind of thing as well. So we'll take a little look at those a little bit later as well. But in any case, the Cam Engine, and incidentally, this camera here is their one of their 4K webcams. I might not have the settings perfect yet. I will be doing a full video on this in a little while once I've actually dived into it a bit more and gone into all the settings. Because as I say, they do have this software Cam Engine, which they use to control all of their cameras with. And so that is what we were just seeing in the Nexus controls here. So with Cam Engine, they've got various different filters that you can apply. There are different effects that you can apply to the camera as well. And then there is capture to be able to take screenshots and things like that. And then you've got the EPTZ, so electronic pan, tilt, zoom. Basically, it's essentially just cropping in and moving around in the picture. But nevertheless, you have got those options to add controls for Cam Engine onto the screen. So if you are using the AVerMedia equipment, then the AVerMedia cameras, I should say, for live streaming, then you would have sort of control over them over here. So it is interesting to note that basically you could get a total, complete live streaming setup from AVerMedia. So next down, we've got OBS Studio. So obviously that's one of the big ones that people use for live streaming. So there is a lot of built-in functionality there if you are an OBS user. Personally, I'm an Ecamm Live user. Ecamm Live is a great live streaming software specifically for the Mac, and I just find it's so much easier to use. I did pull out all of my hair with OBS originally, but so pleased that I found Ecamm when I did, just before I pulled out the actual skin on my head as well. So I highly recommend it. It's what I use for all of my videos. It's also what I use for going into Zoom to really level up my Zoom game as well. And you can get a free trial at takeonetech.io/Ecamm. And in fact, for the month of June, I need to drop the offer code in now. For the month of June, they've got 30% off. What is the offer code? June 30, is it? Let me think. I'll have to drop it into the description afterwards. That is very unprofessional not to remember the offer code, but 30% off for the month of July. It's not June, is it? It's July. So let's have a little look though at the rest of the features in here. So if you are using OBS, you're good to go with that. Oh, thank you very much, Paul, for dropping it in. I might have known Mr. Paul Duncan would know the offer code. July 30, 30% off. Just think about that for a minute. 30% off Ecamm for life as well. So get in now while you can. It's definitely not to be missed. If you've been on the fence about whether to sign up or not, now's the time to do it. So yeah, we've got all of the OBS controls there. And then also, as well as OBS, you've also got Streamlabs OBS as well. So if you are Streamlabs OBS, you've got some controls there, not quite as much as with OBS, but nevertheless, they are there. You've also got controls for YouTube and, or rather, some widgets related to YouTube. So we've got the watching now. So that is this one that we saw earlier. Watching now. I'm wondering if I haven't configured this one correctly. It should be bringing up the chat, but let's have a little look. It doesn't seem to be bringing it up. Let me just refresh it. See if it's bringing it up. Seems like it's coming now. We'll see. So is that, there we go. Yeah, so there we go. We've got the chat on the device as well. So that's a pretty handy feature, actually, just to have that coming up there as well. Let me see. Can we scroll it, or is it just a... Oops, daisy. Let me come back over to that screen. So it looks like you can't actually sort of scroll it on the screen as such, but nevertheless, it is just a feed of the chat there coming up actually on the device itself. I do quite like that. That is pretty good, because sometimes when you've got other stuff going on, you don't necessarily always see it on the screen, or depending on how you're using it. Or I suppose, you know, thinking about this from its use case as a sort of live streamer gamer point of view, then being focused on a game or whatever you happen to be doing, and then still having the chat coming in there is pretty good. So that is that. And then we've also got a subscribe account as well. And you can see, as I say, that some of these are, you know, a 1x1. So this one, CPU usage and things like that. This one is a 2x2 size, so 2 buttons wide by 2 deep. So it does actually tell you that there, as in how big it is. Let's just see if this one works. Subscribe account. I can drop that one on there. And then is that going to refresh? So basically just pulling in your thing. My subscribe account doesn't go up that fast, so I probably don't need this permanently displayed on there. Interestingly, it has defaulted to Thai there, because I'm in Thailand. Not quite sure why that is, but never mind. I'll take that off anyway, because for the time being, I think I'm good with the subscribe account. So that is the YouTube widget that we've got in there. And then there's also one for Twitch, if you are a Twitch user, a few more controls there. So obviously, the majority, I would say, of live streamer gamers tend to be streaming to Twitch, and they tend to be doing it with OBS. I would say that is the majority. And so hence, it makes sense then that we have got a lot more controls for OBS and for Twitch as well. Spotify, so we've got some Spotify controls there as well. And then finally, system resources. Now, actually, this was one that I installed because you can also install new widgets. You haven't got anywhere near the same volume of developers that are making things for this as you've got with Stream Deck, and certainly also not with even with Loupe Deck, although Loupe Deck's got some issues about its implementation. But if I open this up and come down here, this is where you can see the widget plugin list. And at the moment, it's basically 2. One of them is clock and time, other one is system resources. So I did go through the process of downloading the widget and adding it into the device just to see how that process was. And you basically just download a file and then back over on the device, you just come over to here, click this little import button at the bottom, and then you can just import the file directly in. So let's have a little look then. That is basically the buttons that we've got on it. As I say, by the way, you can add them any button. You can drag it over to one of these spots, but you can also just drag it over to one of these pads. And what it does is you'll notice how these buttons are sort of color coded. So whilst you can't actually change the color of these buttons and the way that they show up on the device here, they do all have a sort of specific color. So this dark blue for Creator Central, this light blue for System. If I come down to Cam Engine, those are all red. So if I was to drag one of those over, let's see if we can just drag it directly over the top of that. That is now red. And what you'll notice is if I come down to the top-down shot, perhaps you can see this. In fact, let me just turn that around so that it makes it a little bit easier to see. This one here is blue, and in fact, if that effect was active, this would be red because that is the color of that particular group of actions. So whilst you can't change the icons, they have tried to give some indication at least as to what is going on with the buttons. Let's just come back to the software again then. So that has all been the button. So really, you know, not as extensive as Stream Deck by any stretch, and probably not even as extensive as Loupe Deck in terms of the level of controls. But depending on what you want to do with it, if you are, you know, live streaming, then to, you know, a game using OBS, then, you know, it's basically got all of the things that you might need for that. And then with some of the shortcuts, then it's got those covered as well. So then, as well as the hotkeys and widgets, which, as I say, is kind of like the Stream Deck type side of the device, we've also got the audio mixer. So this is where we've got control over what's going on the audio mixer. Let me just bring that one up again. There we go. Now, what they've got here is, as I say, you've got these different things coming in. So you've got your microphone. You've also got the line in. And then you've got the console here. And system, so console, i.e. an actual games console coming in. And then you've also got system, so that is system audio over USB. You've also got game, and that is also over USB. And you've also got chat, and that's over USB. So these are effectively these three channels that are all over USB. Now, at the moment, we've got it set up so that, let me just toggle this one on and off here. You've got enable dual mix, and what that means is you've got the creator mix, and that is basically, as you can see by the icon, that's what you're hearing as the creator in your in-ear monitors. But then you've also got the audience mix, and that's because you might very well want to have something different going out onto the stream, but you want to, like if you're playing a game or something, you want to maybe hear more of the game yourself as opposed to what is going out onto the stream. So it does have this sort of dual mix, and you can actually switch between them. So there is if you've got this whole panel up here, then we just tap on the creator, and it actually changes the color of these dials here to a different color, which we can define in a little while as well. But here you can basically adjust the level. So I can now, if with this mic, I can adjust my level here, and it's adjusting it in my in-ear monitors, but it's not actually adjusting it for you because I'm adjusting the creator mix. However, if I switch to the audience by tapping on that button, then now if I adjust the mic, then that should be adjusting it for you, but it's not adjusting it for me in my in-ear monitors. So that is the way that this works. And as I say, they've made it so that you can switch between these two by just tapping on the touch screen. So if I just tap here, you can see that the dials all change color. So now I know that purple is what is going into my monitors, whereas if I tap here, it is the audience. But you can also assign this to one of these buttons. So I have also assigned it to this button here. So if I was on a different screen, say this one, monitoring the number of people watching, the chat and all that kind of thing, and then I press on here, then this is actually going to switch to the creator mix and switch to the output. Now, I know some people have said that one of the criticisms that I've heard about this is that the creator mix and the output, the audience mix, are not linked. So if you turn the volume down on here on the creator mix, then it doesn't turn it down on the output. To me, that seems like the entire point of it. You do want them independent. I get that some people might want to have them perhaps linked so that you can set the relative levels and then move them up and down. But then you would be losing some of the other functionality of it there. So I'm not quite sure that about that criticism that's been leveled at it, whether that's entirely fair or not. But anyway, let's come back over to the device again. So this is where we are adjusting the levels. But for each one of these individual things here, so the mic, the line in, the console system, and so on, you can just click on that, and then it will bring up the controls related to that. So now I've clicked on my mic. We've got a number of different controls related to that. So it's showing us our level there. We've got the mic, and then we've got the gain. It's telling us the type of microphone. So I'm just plugging in the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic, which I'll get to in a little while as well. And so this is just a dynamic mic, but you can also plug in a condenser, or if you've got one plugged in with the jack, you could select that there as well. But then we do have things like noise gate, compression, reverb if we really want to turn that on. I'm not really a fan of those. Echo, we've got that as well. And then we've got an equalizer. And this is basically just some sort of high-level controls. But we can see some more controls of that if we just click on these little 3 dots. And that brings up a separate panel. And here we've got a lot more fine control here over the noise gate, so the threshold, attack, and so on, and then the compressor. You can see that this is basically just a lot more detail than we've got in this little summary that is down at the bottom here. And then again, same sort of thing with the EQ. We can change all of the different levels here, echo and reverb if we want to toggle those ones on, and change all of the parameters. So I'm going to do a sort of full audio test. This isn't intended to be, you know, a full test of all of the audio capabilities as such, and I will be spending a lot more time trying to sort of drill down into it to get, you know, do a proper real world test as opposed to this, which is really more of a sort of first impressions, I guess. But anyway, let me just check in with the comments before we just go further, because there is quite a lot more to look at, not least the routing table, which I think gives a really clear indication of what's going on with audio routing. So we've talked a lot about routing tables with the Rodecaster Pro, so I thought it'd be interesting to just have a look at how they're doing it on here as well. But let me just quickly pop in and say hello to you all. Let me see. Correct you up when I say Z, X, Y, Z. Let's have a little look. Hello, Eileen. Great to see you here as well. So, David, no, there isn't Ecamm integration at the moment. I don't know if there will be. I don't know if we'll have to see if Ken and Glenn, I'll have to mention it to them and see if it's even on their radar as well, and how easy it is to integrate. But no, there isn't at the moment, which is a shame, really. You can always, of course, do things with keyboard shortcuts, but the problem with that is you don't necessarily know that it is going to be the frontmost application. So I'll definitely be mentioning it to Ken and Glenn to see if if it's something that they're considering. Hey, Greg, it's great to see you. Not seen you about for a while. I've not been I've not been in the same circles, but yeah, great to see you here. He's got knobs on knobs. Hey, Ethan. So if dual mix is enabled and you adjust the dials, are they still unlinked? I think they are. Let me just double check this. If the dual mix is enabled and you adjust the dials, yeah, it is just turning down the, so if I just come over to this, let me just show you what I'm doing. It does appear that if I turn down here, the audience mix is going down, but the creator mix is not going down on that mic there. So it does appear that they are unmixed. Yeah, I don't know if that was something that they were going to be changing. I wonder if it's the same with everything. Yeah. So as I move this one with the dials, you can see here I'm rotating this dial, and it's moving this level here. They do appear to be unmixed. Yeah. But like I say, I kind of think that is the way that it should be. I don't know whether it might make sense to have like a little link icon that you could link them together, so that if you do want to move them down, you can move them up. If you do want to move, that didn't make sense, did it? Having a little link icon so that if you do want to move one down, it'll adjust the other. Maybe that would be the solution there, so that everybody gets to do that. Yeah, let me just pop back though, and let's carry on with having a look at some of these other things. So you've also got, let me just close this one down. We've also got the line in, so we've got the adjustment there just for the volume of it coming in. Then console is the same for that, and system, game, and chat. So this is basically just adjusting the volume. It is the mic that's got all of these extra controls. There are some other settings though for the device. So let's have a little look at some of these, shall we? So here we are in the settings. So you can link it to your AVerMedia account, and then also link it to things like YouTube, Twitch, and Spotify. So that's to obviously use some of those built-in integrations. There's also OBS as well. So I'm not using OBS, but this is where you would link it to OBS, Streamlabs, and some details on firmware update. When you go through the process of installing it, by the way, and one thing that AVerMedia said to me, by the way, was that they have been traditionally more of a PC first software. So they did say that the software has been sort of, I think, ported over to the Mac. So there may be some things here that are, it's got a look of PC software, shall we say. I haven't noticed any specific issues with the software running on this. I did notice with the what's it called now? Let me just get the name right. The camera software that they use. That's very clearly kind of not necessarily just a sort of native Mac app, as it were. But this one certainly does seem a lot better. It's certainly a lot easier to use than the Loupe Deck software, which is just still, they've made some improvements to it, but this is far easier to use and understand than the Loupe Deck software. Yeah, so with the update process, you have to go through that usual Mac thing of giving it access to certain things. And there's one particular thing in the Mac. Let me just come over to the system preferences a minute. If I open up the software. Oh, by the way, I'll be telling you about the price of this and why I think this is a really interesting product in a little while as well, because I think that you know, I obviously compared it to the Stream Deck and the Rodecaster in the thumbnail, and I've been talking about that today. I don't think it is, you know, it's not a Rodecaster killer at all. It's a very different device, but I think that they have got the price point just right with it, to be honest, and we'll see why that is in a little while. But in the security and privacy section in your Mac, this is where lots of apps, when you want to go to install them, they'll say they need access to things like, for example, this one would need access to the microphone. It needs access to some of the disk as well, because you're going to be opening applications and things like that. And then also there is a couple of things in automation. I think there was one in there, or that might have been just to do with the installer. No, it isn't actually in there, but you needed to add it into a few of these places. But there's one that often catches people out, and that is also sometimes it needs a bit of a deeper access than you can even give it in just the privacy section. And in fact, I think I might even have captured a little screen grab of it. Let me just have a quick look at this. This is something that, yeah, it does catch people out sometimes, this does, because they wonder why their application isn't working. Let me just open this screenshot up. Where's that opened up? Open up somewhere completely off the screen. Oh, there it is. So yeah, this is a screenshot of it. So it's in, rather than the privacy section, it's actually in this general section, and it's here. So it just appears as a little extra bit just down here. So it came up with this system software from application AVerMedia installer was blocked from loading, and you have to just allow that. So if you find that the installation gets stuck on a Mac, that might be where it's getting stuck. So let's keep going through the thing. So, oh, the reason why I got onto that, going down a little rabbit hole there, was because the install process just goes through and, you know, updates the firmware. It does all of that sort of just as part of the install process. So if you've just installed it, then if you just install the software, then the hardware will be firmware will be updated at the same time. Then we come down to the hardware. Now, the default on this is that it's got lots of pretty flashing lights. I'm not a big fan of too many flashing lights, but what you can do is you can see you've got these different elements. So there is actually this sort of bar running around the side of it. So if I just show you, so you've got this light strip that runs around the side of it. So if pretty flashing lights are your things, you're going to like this. Because you can change that. So I've just clicked on here. You can see it's sort of highlighted, this bar here. And you can change this to be scrolling RGB. So you can see that now we've got a scrolling RGB light around the side. As I say, I like pretty lights, but I'm not too keen on something too much, too flashy. So this one is flashing RGB, blinking, and then you can select the specific color of it. You can have just a solid color, which is what I went with, and then you can just pick any of these colors, change the color of the light around the outside, just like that. I'll just stick with this one. And then if I come back to the app a minute, then what you can do as well is you can click on here. So this is the dials, and I mentioned before about the lights changing color, whether you are using the master mix, or it's the creator mix, I should say, or the audience mix. So this is where you can change those colors. So you can choose which color you want for the master mix, the creator mix, and what color you want for the audience mix, so that you just know which one you are changing at any given time. And then you've also got interactive, and this is so that you can actually have the device react. If you are using something like Streamlabs OBS or OBS, you could have it so that it reacts to things that are happening on the stream as well. So that's something else you can do there. As I say, I'm just quite happy with it being a single nice little glowing color. You can obviously also turn it off as well completely. You've then got some options over the output here. So the sample rate, 48,000 hertz or 98,000 hertz, 96,000 hertz. I'll be honest with you, I don't entirely know which of those I should be using, but I will get into the bottom of it when I do a full review. Line out. So we've got the line out. I mentioned that is on the back. So if I just pop over to this one. This is one of these ports on the back. Next to the headphone socket, you've got a line in, but next to the headphone socket, you've also got the line out. And so basically, in this particular setting here, what we're choosing is what do we want to go to that line out? And we've got either the audience mix, the creator mix, or the chat mic. So those are those three channels that go over USB. Well, here you can just choose which one you want to go to the line out as well. So currently I've got the audience mix, which is what you're hearing in Ecamm Live. But that's what I've got feeding into my Rodecaster Pro 2, which is then feeding into the Discord as well. So that's how I'm using the line out. Probably not the way most people would do it, but there you go. And then you've also got the chat mic. So whether you want that to be just the microphone with effects or without effects, I'm not really using effects, but anyway, we'll just leave that one as it is. And then here you can adjust the level of the line out and the headphones as well. Let's just have a little look at this. Ethan, yeah, so being able to assign that to a pad would be the best way to accommodate everyone. And yes, welcome to the stream, first time here as well. Great to see you. Higher access, much like Loupe Deck. Oh yes, I see what you mean. Yeah, with the system access. Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, David. Got to run, no problem. Great to see you. And Paul would like the coloured lights. Yeah, I like having coloured lights on things. One of the things about the Rodecaster Pro 2 actually is where you've got the lights and you can set the relative brightness. So you can, like, if a light is active, it's got one brightness, but if it's inactive, then it is a lower brightness. So for example, like the mute buttons on the bottom of the Rodecaster Pro 2, you can set the relative brightness. So ideally, it'd be good to have the inactive buttons really dim. But actually, I think it looks nicer with them more bright, so I tend to turn them up, which means I can't really see the difference between the on or off states, which is probably not ideal. But anyway, I digress slightly. So let's just come back to this, because we can now get into also the routing table. There is a configuration file as well, so you can save different configurations as a backup, just like you can back up in the Stream Deck and Loupe Deck as well. And then there's also a feedback button here as well. But what I want to do is come over to here, because what we've also got is, we've got up here where it says audio mixer. Have a look at this. We've got this routing table. And if I click on this one, it'll open it up somewhere. Where's it opened it up? It's opened it up down here. What do you think about that? for a routing table. So here basically you can see what is going where. So we've got our microphone and it's telling us our gain. It's also telling us any effects that we've got attached to it. You can click the little cogwheel here if you want to just open up the effects. So you can see what effects are currently being applied. In this case, it is compression and the noise gate. So it's showing you exactly. I mean, I think this is a great representation. It might look a little bit of a mess, but actually you can just follow it through what's going where. So we've got mic with a gain, the effects applied to it, and then it is going to two different places. And you'll notice that we've got two different levels here. That is because we've got, as I say, the creator mix and the audience mix. So where we can see these two separate levels, if I adjust one of the levels for the audience, for example, you can see how that goes up and down, whilst the creator mix is not. And if I come up here, change the creator mix, you can see now I can change that that one is changing in my headphones. And so that is going through here, mic with effects, to the chat mic, and that is over USB. So if this was, I'm not actually using this directly into Discord, but if I had this going into Discord, for example, with the chat, this would be showing that that is going there with my mic effects. It's also going into the creator mix, which is going into my my monitors, and that is also then going to the headphones. But it's also going to this creator virtual device. So as well as the creator mix going into my headphones, it also goes into the computer as well. So you could use it anywhere else in the computer. It just shows up as a source. If I go and look at my my audio in the Mac, what I see is where's it gone now? In fact, let me have a look in here. It might be easier. So we see basically audience mix, live streamer AX310. We've also got chat mic, live streamer AX310, and creator mix. So all of these different mixes are going into the computer just over that one USB cable. So then we've also then got the microphone audience mix, or audience level, I should say, going into the audience mix, which is going out to the virtual device on the computer. But as I mentioned, this is also going into the line out, and that is going into the Rodecaster Pro 2. You wouldn't normally be using this with the Rodecaster Pro 2, so I'm probably adding a bit of complexity there. But that's basically showing you like what everything is, where it's all coming from, and where it is all being routed. So I don't know whether that makes things clearer or not, but certainly for me, I thought that it was a really great little visual layout. And obviously, if I was to go in here and change some of the settings, so let me just come into the settings for 1 second. And what I'll do is I will, I think what I have to do is I have to close that one down. Let me just close that one down. So what I'll do is I'll change the line out to be the creator mix for a second. So if I come into here, close this one down. I've got too many AVerMedia windows open. That's my problem. So in here, we had the output and we had the line out was the audience mix. Well, if I change that to creator mix, then what you'll see is it's actually just changed it in here. So here we've got the line out. If I change it in the settings again from creator mix to audience mix, or I can change it to chat mic, you can see how the table is updating. I think that's a really cool little visual, personally. So I really like that. So that's an overview basically of the device and the software. But I thought it'd be useful to then have a little look at sort of where this all fits into the market, because the Rodecaster Pro 2, I've had to write these down so I don't forget them. Rodecaster Pro 2 is $700, thereabouts, US dollars. There may be specials on and things like that, but that is essentially it. Oh, it's $699 or something, but I've rounded all these to the nearest nearest whole number. $700. Then if you were to add something like the pod mic, which is a comparable microphone at $100, comparable in terms of type. So this is the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic is $99.99, same as the pod mic. And it's the same kind of mic. I'm not going to do a full audio quality comparison here at all, but same sort of price. Then you've got the Stream Deck at, say, $250 for the XL. So if you were to buy the Rodecaster Pro 2, a pod mic, and a Stream Deck, that would be $1,050. Well, the Live Streamer Nexus, just for the device itself, is $350. The live streamer mic is $100, And if you buy the two together, instead of $450, it's actually $400. So effectively, for $400, you've got the microphone and the mixer, and it's combining some of the Stream Deck functionality as well. For somebody who is doing live streaming of games, you know, a gamer live streamer using OBS, it's a pretty good deal, really, I think. And in terms of the audio quality, I've got to really dig down and do a bit more in terms of the settings. I've left a link, by the way, in the description to, I did an unboxing of the microphone and also of the live streamer arm. I'll come on to that in a minute because I'm really excited about the live streamer arm. It's if I had to choose now between the live streamer arm or the Elgato Wave low profile arm, which is the one that I'd been using up until now. I'm still using it, actually. I'm using both of them. But if I had to choose between both of them right now, I would go for the AVerMedia because of the versatility it's got in terms of the range of movement it's got and how you can lay it out. It's also got a slightly longer reach. So my desk is quite large, and I found that sometimes it's difficult to get this position so it does reach me properly. It's not too bad actually where it is now, but when I had it off to the side with a different desk layout, but this has basically got an extra sort of 9 inches or so of reach, so it's good from that point of view as well. But I just keep thinking, you know, $1,050 for the Rodecaster Pod Mic and Stream Deck, or $400 for this. It's got a particular place in the market. And so when it comes to build quality, I would say it's on par with something like the Stream Deck in general. My only slight quibble with it is these buttons here. What I found is, if I just take this action off one of them, the buttons, although you know, you press them, you don't really notice any difference, but they just seem to go down like one side or another. So when you're pushing them in, you'll notice that, I don't know if you even can pick this up. You'll notice that, like, if I push it in, it doesn't sort of go down straight. There's always like one side that seems to go down. Now, it doesn't actually affect the operation of it, I have to say, but it's just got a bit of a feel, like it almost feels like the button or the mechanism is too big, so you don't get like a nice sort of uniform clunk downwards in a particular direction. But as I say, it hasn't actually interfered with the usage of it, so maybe I'm just being nitpicking. But the actual quality of the device is comparable with a Stream Deck, you know, in terms of solid. It's plastic, obviously, but really feels solid. I like the magnetic stand as well. It's got little rubber feet on it, and it's, you know, pretty straightforward. It just sort of sits on like that and sits nicely on the desk. It's also nice that it comes with like all the cables you need, but also the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic as well comes with an XLR cable, so you literally wouldn't have to go out and buy anything else as such. It is pretty cool. There's definitely a place for it in the market. Would I recommend it to somebody who was using, you know, a Stream Deck and a Rodecaster? Would I recommend going out and buying it? Absolutely not, because we've already got devices here that are, you know, very similar, but or, you know, actually more powerful, I should say. But if you were looking for something that was just of a sort of lower cost, and for this specific use case, then it's pretty good. And as I say, it does seem like they've been making improvements to the software already. Hello, Critical Care Now. Great to see you. Let's have a little look where we are in the chat. Came in late. What's the quality of the device and usability? Does it get hot? No, it doesn't get hot. I don't even know. You say, do you hear the fan? I don't hear a fan. I don't think they've got a fan. I don't think there is a fan at all. It does not get it does not get hot particularly. So no is the answer to that. So usability, in terms of the application, usability is certainly a lot easier to use than the Loupe Deck. I've given up making my beginner series to Loupe Deck in the hope that they will just actually update the software pretty soon to make it a lot more usable. I mean, the way it is with the Loupe Deck is I just can't actually recommend that to anyone. So I don't recommend to friends, family members, or colleagues or things like that to go and get a Loupe Deck. I will always recommend the Stream Deck. And actually, somebody who was just doing live streaming, you know, basically the target market of this live streamer Nexus, it's pretty good. What I need to do is just do a bit of a Bandrew from Podcastage and do a bit more of a scientific test of the audio from the live streamer mic. I think I got sidetracked earlier, but I did actually do an unboxing and review of the mic boom and also the microphone in on my Amazon channel. So I've left a link down in the description to that. I'm going to be doing a lot of product reviews, unboxings and things like that over on the Amazon channel, so that I don't just end up filling this channel with just purely sort of tech gear reviews, but I am a bit of a gearhead, as you know, so I will be doing that all over there. You've got the Rodecaster Pro 2, but looking for a travel solution. Would this be it? I'm just thinking about that. It is still quite bulky. I mean, it's not anywhere near as big as the Rodecaster Pro 2, but you certainly don't think like, oh, you could just throw it in a bag. That said, it is an audio device, so it's, to be honest with you, thinking about travel, I mean, I've just said I don't recommend the Loupe Deck. One thing I do like about the Loupe Deck is the form factor. So you would still need a device for your microphone to go in, so depending on what type of mic you're using. I don't know. I don't know that I'd ever say, oh, this is a travel device. So if we just have a little look at the size of it, this is it compared to the Stream Deck. It's kind of like, I don't know, 1.5 times as tall, 1.5 times as wide, pretty bulky even without the stand. So it's not necessarily easy to travel with, but I guess it is easier to travel with than the Rodecaster. So we'll have to have a little look. Let's have a little look though. Do you think the Stream XLR might be better? The Stream XLR, which is that one now? Do you mean the Elgato thing there? The Elgato, was it Elgato Wave XLR? Is that the one that you mean there? That also is quite large, isn't it? That's also, I mean, I suppose the absolute best for travel would be something like, you know, I don't know, a Focusrite Scarlett or something like that, plugging it in there. Yeah, the Stream XLR is still quite bulky as well, isn't it? It's, you know, about the size of a 15 key, I think, Stream Deck. So it depends how much you're willing to travel with, I suppose, doesn't it? Everyone's different as to what they travel with. But as I say, I will be doing a real sort of in-depth review in terms of the audio quality and things like that. Let me just quickly show you, though, the page over here. So I've linked to the products in Amazon as well. But this is what we're looking at. So we've got the microphone here. The AVerMedia Live Streamer Nexus is basically $350, isn't it? Or $400 for the two of them together. The microphone, by the way, does come with a pop filter. I have got that. They did send that to me as well to check out. I just don't think that it is necessarily worth the addition. So it's basically an extra $30. So you're adding 30% onto the cost of the microphone we're talking about here, the AVerMedia Live Streamer mic. And whilst it is very well made, I do like it. I just don't think that it is worth the additional cost to you know, to add it in. I've done some preliminary tests. You'll find that in the Amazon review that I did. So it basically just sort of fits around the microphone. This piece does, and then there's a little bar that comes off, and so you end up with a little pop filter just on the end like that. But as I say, if you're speaking kind of across the mic as opposed to directly in it, in any case, I think it does. It doesn't do a huge amount more than that. So and certainly for a $99 mic, $100 mic, $30 for a pop shield over the front of it, it just seemed a little bit perhaps unnecessary. Maybe good as a travel kit, as it's got the screen for comments, audio interface, etc. if you're traveling with a laptop. Yeah, that is true actually. It is that, and like I say, it is 2-in-1 really, isn't it? So it is a mixer. So yeah, could certainly be. Yeah, it depends on how light you travel, I suppose, at the end of the day. Yeah, so let me talk about this mic boom, though, because, to be honest, this is the thing that I got really excited about when I first, for me, my little discovery when I discovered AVerMedia. So let me show you what is so fascinating about this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just switch back now to my MV7 and on the stream and also in the Rodecaster. So what I need to do is come back to this one. Main stereo. So need to just switch this off. There we go. So you are now hearing me, hopefully, back on. Hang on a minute. I've got to plug my monitors into the right one as well. You should be hearing me now, though, on the where has it gone? There we go. That's better. On the MV7 into the Rodecaster Pro 2 into the stream, and that should also be just going into the Discord now as well. Great. Let's have a little look. Share the chat. There we go. Let's have a little look. Sorry, I'm just, I should probably not be doing this now. I'm just checking up on the Discord chat. They were saying something about the audio quality. So yeah, the people in the watching in the back channel, and by the way, if you want to be in the backstage area, then you might want to check out my membership. So below every video and also on my YouTube homepage, you'll see that there is now a little join button. So we have got channel memberships open, and one of those levels is called Backstage Pass, and that basically gives you access into the backstage area. So there are some fine folks over there in Discord watching what is going on. So here you can see I'm streaming out to YouTube as well, but then it's also going into Discord, so they can hear that there. So we can have a bit of a chat before the stream starts and also after we've finished as well. So if you want to join the Backstage Pass membership level, then just check out that little join link that you'll find beneath any of my videos. But yeah, they were just asking some comments, some questions in there related to the audio quality of the mic coming through the Nexus. I'll have to, as I say, do a full, proper scientific review, but just know that the audio was being routed through the Rodecaster just for the people in the Discord, just because it made it a lot simpler for the audio routing. That may have caused a few issues with some of the audio there, but anyway, we'll have to do the full review a little bit later. So let's have a look though now that I have just disconnected the mic, or rather we're not streaming over the mic, as to why this live streamer arm is really pretty clever. I'm a bit of a design geek as well. My background's in design and engineering, so whenever I see something that is well designed and well engineered, I always got to give it props where they are due. So this is the live streamer mic, and as I say, you can see the Elgato Wave. They're both mounted to my desk in pretty much the same place. But this one has just got such a longer reach. So you can see whereas the Elgato Wave ends here, this one's got an extra sort of 9 inches or so of reach to come all the way out to here. And one of the sort of main features of it though is the fact that you can see at the moment that I'm kind of using it as a low profile mic arm. But every single joint on it, so you've got a joint down there where it's joining the desk, obviously, you've got this sort of midpoint, and then you've got the joint here where the microphone attaches. Well, every one of those joints rotates in both directions. So as well as being able to swing the arm like this, I can also pivot it like this, but then I can also pivot this center one here, but then I can also twist it like this. And what that means is you can basically use it as a low profile arm, but if I wanted, I could also just sort of spin it up like this, twist it round, and then now I've got more of a sort of traditional top-down arm. Or you could use it for a sort of top-down mic if you want, because you can make it completely vertical. Same with the head here. So this will rotate all the way around like this. We could have the mic above or below. And it's just really, really versatile. It says it will hold 1.8 kilos, I think is the figure. I can't remember exactly the specs. Certainly I haven't had any issue with feeling like it won't hold the weight. There is little tension screws on the different joints that you can adjust it. And I've just found that it has been working really fine for me in terms of just staying exactly where I put it. So, you know, if I want to lift it up here, it will stay pretty much there. Stay over here, and once you've got the tension right, it will just stay exactly where you've put it. I've actually been using it a lot for some of my top-down shots as well, because, as I say, you can just have it completely vertically up here if you want, so just sort of the arm coming straight up and straight out. So this is when I've been doing my sort of top-down shots of the Rodecaster. I've tended to use this with a camera on it. A couple of other neat little design features that I like about it is just the way that the microphone attaches. So if you've ever had to attach a microphone to a boom arm, then you may have found yourself sort of rotating the microphone around to sort of screw it in. Well, one of the things that I like about this is rather than screwing the microphone, there's actually kind of like a captive bolt that goes all the way through it. So here you can see the microphone on the top, but actually I can just screw at the bottom to remove the microphone. So it's a really neat little feature that means you're not having to worry about spinning your microphone around and dropping it. So that's pretty cool. Although in actual fact, just in case you are using another boom, the microphone itself has exactly the same feature on it where you can actually just rotate the fixture here as well. So even if you weren't using the AVerMedia mic, you could still rotate to attach any other mic to it as well. I'll come back to the microphone in a little while. The other thing that I like about this as well is, as well as having the sort of regular size that you might have to connect a microphone, it's actually got a little screw in the middle. And if you take that little screw out, then it's in fact got a 1/4-20 inside as well. So if you've got some other device, like when I've been attaching, actually I've been using my iPad as a top-down shot, as a top-down camera. So I've got a different sort of connector, with a 1/4-20 that I wanted to connect to this. Well, you can just easily take off this sort of larger size thread that is for the microphone, and then you can attach that for, some other kind of device. The cable routing that it's got is admittedly not quite as elegant. I do like the cable routing that we've got in the Elgato, this sort of metal plate that just drops on. I mean, it's pretty simple. However, sorry about that. I'm sure that audio is transmitting terribly through the microphone, whereas this has got some little sort of plastic strips. So there's a sort of channel in the top, and then once you've got your cable in, you just sort of snap that in place, and then the cable is sort of routed in there. So once you've got it in, it's okay. But I do really like the feel of it. If I had to say, the quality of it is certainly equal to the Elgato. The stand on it, if I'm just looking at the sort of height of it, off the desk. So one of the issues that I had with the Elgato Wave, a couple of them. First of all, depending on what I've got on my desk, the height of the first arm, so this sort of initial stage of the arm of the Elgato Wave, is obviously a fixed height. So basically that is kind of like 2 inches off the desk. So anything that is going to be, where you might be sweeping the microphone across, you've got that sort of arc of the first stage of the arm. You've basically got to know that you've got nothing on the desk that is, that is going to interfere with. Now, it's sort of working quite well where I've got it now. But one thing I like about this is not only is it a little bit higher to begin with, but you could obviously sort of angle it up slightly so you get a bit more clearance whilst still having it come, relatively low to the desk. So from that point of view, I think it works quite well. But you can also come up with some pretty weird angles to get everything exactly where you want them. So for example, when I'm doing my Amazon live streams, then for that you have to control the entire screen from the entire stream from an iOS device like an iPad or an iPhone or something like that. So I needed that to be positioned kind of just right here so that I could control the stream from it. And so this really allows you to be a lot more sort of flexible in terms of exactly where you want things. If you want it to be kind of like not quite a low profile arm, but more of a whatever you call this, not quite over the top, but not quite low profile as well. You can basically come up with any combination of positioning for for whatever you're hanging off it, be it a microphone or be it an iPad or something else like that. So I do really highly recommend this. As I say, if I had to choose one right now, I would choose this one, but I'm very pleased to actually have the option to use both of them. I'll just show you some of the other images of it though, just because it gives you a bit more of an idea of the sort of different angles that you can put it in. So there was a little snapshot of it here somewhere. Where's this picture gone? So this one kind of illustrates it quite well. So if you look at this picture here, obviously it can be, in fact, this doesn't even show the low profile size of it, but yeah, you can have it reaching over the top of your monitor. And because it does have this long reach, it just works out, really nice and versatile. Let me just have a little look. So what is the price in US dollars? So the live streamer arm, let me just come back to this. So the live streamer arm, it's not the most cheap arm by any stretch. So it's $180 for the live streamer arm, whereas the Elgato Wave is obviously lower cost than that. If that is the one that you're asking for, these are the prices for the other things I've been talking about. So the microphone there for $99. Let's have a little look. Don't try this at home. Oh, I'm trying something else right now as well, so we'll see how that goes. Hello, Doc. Great to see you here. I hope you're having a wonderful time. I know you've been on a trip. Can't wait to hear all about that. So yeah, let's have a little chat though about the microphone as well. And as I say, I'm not by any stretch an audio expert. But what I can tell you about the microphone, though, is that it does feel really solid. It's all metal construction. This and the boom, by the way, have won some design awards, and I can clearly see why some of the features that they've got and some of the sort of thought that's gone into them. So from just a pure design point of view, I do like the design of this. It will rotate like that. It's all metal construction. As I say, this little feature here to just be able to screw it on is pretty good. It does come with a red ring on the front, but then it comes with this one as well, so that you can change the color of that. Their thing is all this, you know, they've got their logos obviously got red in it, so they often have little red accent colors, but you can change that on the front. So I will have to do a full review of this from an audio perspective, because as I say, this has been really more just a case of doing a live stream to show you this device and really show you the boom arm as well. But I will do a full sort of audio review of this along with some other stuff. But certainly for the price, I think as a package, it works really well. So let me just have a quick look if there was anything that... one thing I did want to mention is I told you that AVerMedia wasn't really on my my radar. I hadn't really heard of them, or if I had, I didn't really know what they do. But if we just come and have a quick look at some of the other stuff they do, it's pretty cool. Oh, so you've just landed, Doc. Hi, just back. Can't wait to hear all about... can't wait to hear all about the trip and the experience. Let me come over to this one. So AVerMedia, yeah, they've got the product. So they've got it split into game controls, as I say, primarily for gamers. So they've got this one is obviously the one that we're looking at. But then they also do capture cards. Now, everybody in the eCam community is always talking about the Elgato Camlink 4K. And almost to the point of that's the only one to consider. You know, don't go with any of these other cheap options. You know, people will buy these ones for like $10, $20 off Amazon, and then sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Some people swear by them. Some people say that they fail and so on. Well, AVerMedia make a whole range of capture cards, and they do have these kind of like the actual cards that you would have in a gaming PC or PC. So there are capture cards that are built in, just like these, but they do also make these standalone ones as well. So that's something else that they sent me to have a look at. So specifically, this one, which is the Live Streamer Capture 4K, and it's $99. So it is a bit cheaper than the Elgato. The other thing is it isn't a dongle that plugs into your computer. So you either have to plug it into your USB and it's sort of hanging out the back, or you have to put it on that really short cable. So it does sort of come with a separate cable. What I'm also interested to try with this as well is this one is just for a single HDMI. So then it's converts to a USB 3, and this is as I say, the 4K capture card. They've also got one which is a pass-through. So let me just have a little look. Which is this one? Where has it gone now? This one, I think. This is the pass-through one. So when I'm doing screen demos and things like that, obviously with the Rodecaster Pro 2, we've got the ability to route audio from multiple computers into the mix and take that in. So doing stuff where I'm using a second computer to do demos, or using a second computer to maybe run the Discord or something like that. Then getting the video from the second computer into the first one, you could do that by running eCam and then turn on NDI and just transmit over NDI from the second computer into the eCam in the first computer. The other way to do it would be to use the max built-in screen sharing, so that you could basically share the screen from the first computer on the second computer, or vice versa, to pull in the feed that way. But what I'm going to be trying is actually getting one of the these pass-through capture cards. So basically taking a feed out from the second computer that's going into a monitor linked to that computer, but it's actually just going to be going into the capture card that I'm taking basically just taking a feed of that same output and then taking that into the first computer. Don't know if that's making sense or not, but I'll be giving that a go, because that would mean that you could then have the Discord running on the first computer, but then literally just have it turn up as a camera as well in computer number one, if that makes sense. Let's have a little look. Yeah, well, apparently so. Apparently so, Doc. AVerMedia been around longer than Elgato by like 10 years. It's just they weren't really on my radar, but now I'm just sort of digging into them and thinking like, oh, they've got some really cool stuff. And let's have a little look at what else was sort of took me by surprise. So as well as this, they've also got capture cards, video capture cards there. So yeah, that is the live streamer capture. And then they've got these ones. I'd be interested to know, Doc, have you ever tried any of their capture cards and how have you found them? I've not given this one a full test yet, but I will be seeing if I can if I can break it. That's always the goal, isn't it? Just see if how far we can push them. Now, webcams. They've got some really interesting webcams as well. I'm using this this shot here, and I'm not going to say that this is the best quality you can get out of it because I need to go and just spend a bit more time digging into the settings and things like this. But this is their 4K webcam. It's actually pretty massive as webcams go. Now this is quite pricey as webcams go as well at $250. So it's not your average webcam, but certainly the quality is better than something like this, the Logitech C920. But then this is only a 1080p and it's quite old by this time as well. So quite a difference in quality there between those two. But I'll have to do a full review on that in time as well. But they have got some other pretty interesting cameras. So they've got the 4K there, and then there's the PW515 is the latest version, replacing the 513. Then they've got an HD one, but then they've also got this one, which is dual camera. And the idea of that is that if you are doing stuff where you use a sort of top-down shot or you show off documents, then you can have one camera that points to you and one down at the desk. A little bit like that new feature that they've got in iOS, the latest version of iOS, where you have the camera, the iPhone on top of your camera, and then it kind of like fakes the top-down shot. Well, this isn't faking it. This has literally got two cameras in it. So I thought that was quite an interesting idea. But then they've also got a load of other stuff for like conferencing. So they've got a load of gear that's specifically for conferencing. This one here is kind of like a desktop thing that you would use for in offices, so something on your desk that's basically like a what do they call it? Like a the name's escaping me. Like a little speaker and microphone in there as well. So let me just come back here, and they've also got some PTZ cameras as well, so pan tilt and so on, and then some other TV stuff going on in there. So, as I say, not supposed to be a full rundown of all their products by any stretch, but these ones as well were just interesting. So this is wireless microphones for teachers as well. So dedicated things there. Let's have a little look. So they make pretty solid capture devices. I'm just wondering why everybody only seems to talk about the Elgatos in certain communities that we move in. Because this one looks pretty good, so it'd be interesting to get your feedback on that. Polycom, is that? Oh, that's what they call it, isn't it? Yeah, those the things we always used to have in meeting rooms as well. The spider that in the middle of the room for that. But anyway, I digress. So that is what I was intending to cover today. The live streamer Nexus. For what it is designed to do and for the price, I do think that they've got this about right in terms of the price point and then the features as well. Certainly for ease of use, it beats the beats the Loupe Deck in terms of ease of programming and things like that as well. And for somebody who's doing a solo streamer, streaming games, things like that, I think it's an ideal device. But as I say, I'll dig a lot more into the audio, and then I'll be doing some full sort of audio reviews and things like that on here. But don't forget also to head over to my Amazon channel as well. So there I'll be doing more sort of dedicated product reviews. You can find a link to that in the description. And also, if you haven't already, then head over to join the Discord at takeonetech.io/family. You can come and join that. It's free to join. We're just in there chatting about all the sorts of things we talk about on this channel. I hope you found that interesting. If you've got any questions on the replays or after the fact about anything related to this and you want to ask me any questions, either do it in the comments or, as I say, come and jump over into the Discord as well. I have been testing something out with multi-streaming today, so it looks like that went off without a hitch. I'll see if anything else is broken. I think I'm still going to Facebook as well, but we'll find out. Anyway, thanks for coming. I shall catch you all in a future video. And if you are watching on the replay, I'll leave a link to some of my Rodecaster videos over on the right-hand side, because that seems to be the most relevant stuff to what we're talking about today. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.